So human beings do try to protect the ocean. There are many laws, as we said. Open ocean out there in the middle of nowhere, that you cannot have police, and it's not always easy to track the source of the trash that you may find in the middle of nowhere, right? Nonetheless, it's illegal now for any vessel to dump any plastic trash anywhere in the ocean or the navigable waters of the United States. And there is something called MARPOL Treaty, Marine Pollution Treaty. It's a new international law for cleaner, safer marine environment. And there are fines up to 25,000, up to 50,000, and so on, even imprisonment of 5 years, etc. And the rules can be still used to dump certain things in the ocean far away from the coasts. For example, US lakes, rivers and bays, sounds and so on, and up to 3 miles from the shore. You cannot dump any plastic, paper, rags, glass or food, garbage, metal, crockery and so on. But up to 3 to 12 miles, it's still illegal to dump plastic dunnage, so it's some kind of a packing material that's used which floats, and so on. But you can go 12 to 25 miles, and you can see that many of the things that are not allowed here could be dumped here. Many of the things that are not allowed here could be dumped here, but plastic remains banned even outside 25 miles of the coastline. Okay, so in other words, it is still okay to get rid of some of the waste in the ocean. There is constant efforts to monitor it. There are some things that can be looked at from satellites, but we will see that plastic in its various forms, as the microbeads and microplastic and so on, especially being transparent, it's not always easy to track. So vast majority of the marine debris now is made of plastic. Despite all the rules against plastic, single-use plastic and so on, as you know, with COVID, many of those rules have been relaxed because suddenly we have to be very careful about hygiene and infections and transmitting COVID and so on. So plastic has increased a lot in use to safeguard against COVID. This happens a lot. There is a good rule, but something comes along and the rule has to be abandoned for safety, right? No choice. So 80% of the marine debris actually comes from the land sources, and most of it is plastic. Plastic is a miracle substance, right? You look around, it's everywhere, it's strong, it's durable, it's cheap. So it also tends to be discarded very easily. So it's used widely and discarded very widely. Unfortunately, discarded very carelessly as well. And you can see that such trash scene is very common everywhere. And the six-pack things that hold the cans or bottles together, nylon ropes, all kinds of bottles, lighters, bottle caps, etc. You can see a little ducky sitting there among this trash. They end up entangling fish, marine mammals and birds. Plastic bags choke turtles because turtles eat jellyfish, and transparent plastic looks like jellyfish. And it turns out that some of the plastic has this aromatic smell that smells like phytoplankton, so some fish eat it thinking it's phytoplankton. On land, especially in India, cows, stray cattle eat a lot of plastic also because they smell of food and so on. Milk is now found to be contaminated with plastic. Even the nylon bag that you use, the dip tea bag, when you dip it in hot water, it releases microbeads of plastic. So plastic is everywhere. We are actually consuming microplastic on a daily time scale, almost guaranteed, right? So some plastics also attract DDT and PCB. So DDT and PCB are bad enough, but they can glom onto plastic and so on. Okay, so here are some pictures of a sea lion that's got a plastic band stuck around its neck. Here is a seagull with the plastic holder of the cans. This is an albatross that has been dissected, and these are the kind of trash that's found in it. Albatross eats on the ocean, and it tracks fronts. Because the fronts tend to congregate little fish and phytoplankton and so on. So it flies around, dives, and eats these things. And any plastic that's floating around also is eaten by the albatross. And you can see it's completely filled with this junk. So it turns out that even birds, for example, they eat plastic. Plastic doesn't get digested. It doesn't get passed out of the system. So they feel full, and they actually starve to death because they feel full. They are not eating, and the body is full of plastic. Terrible, isn't it? So plastic debuted in 1862 but became very widely used after World War II. So its disposal is a huge problem now. It's lightweight, so it floats. It doesn't sink to the bottom, most of it. It's very strong, so it can remain and get entangled. Dolphins, whales, tunas, fishing net, and so on. Lots of problems. It's durable, so it's not biodegradable. Its residence time is very, very long. And it's inexpensive. It's produced in large quantities. Nurdles, which are small pre-production plastic pellets, are lost either during production or during transportation, and they can fly around in the air. They can make it into the water bodies and into the rivers and flow into the ocean, and not easy to detect because they are transparent, and only when you sweep the water with a net, with a very fine net, you can find these things. So Orange County, California, for example, 98% of the beach debris are nurdles. 98% of the beach debris in Orange County, California is these plastic nurdles. Okay, so there are also microbeads. Floating plastic photodegrades, so it gets affected by sunlight that is shining on it and breaks into smaller pieces which can be easily consumed by fish. Marine particles are increasing quite significantly. There are vast efforts now to sweep them up. People are designing very cute things to go in the ocean and keep sweeping up plastic, but there is just so much that we will never finish collecting it. And the circulation, if you go back and remember your circulation, the Kuroshio over here, North Pacific Current, California Current, and there is a convergent region here where the plastic collects over time, and it's called the Eastern Pacific Garbage Dump off of North America here, Baja California, and so on. Okay, so they act as tracers of circulation, but they slowly accumulate over time in one region. It's not like you can see it from satellite because it's transparent. So as I said, the only way to find it is to go and sweep it up with a fine mesh. So plastic is a real menace. It is a miracle substance. It is very useful, but we just haven't figured out a way to use it safely without endangering life and water around us. Plastic. Be careful with it.